Best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Tick your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the final Showdown breakdown. Where my turds at of the season. The crown jewel, guys, of Showdowns. I want this more than I want anything, pretty much. I want this win so bad. It's like the feather in the cap that you want. Super Bowl LV. I don't know what the number stands for. Super Bowl LV.
That'd be 55.
Oh, all right. There. I Roman numerals, not my thing. We've got one of the best games. Can I tell you something? Let me just start with this. This is like the best game of the season. Normally we get a Super Bowl, and it's like, the 49. It's like some defensive team. This is like the best game. 56-point total, 3-point spread. Pat Mahomes, the young buck, the future of the NFL, the dynasty at the beginning, taking on Tom Brady, the veteran, the dynasty at the end of the dynasty. It's crazy. There's so much going on here. So much going on with this game, and I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, I'm never excited about the Super Bowl. Usually it's a shitty game, and I'm pumped.
Totally agree. And one of the great things about these teams, and this is relevant to the breakdown, is, as I was doing my research on this game, these are like the past happiest teams in the NFL. Neither team wants to run the football. No matter what's going on, they're throwing. Like, the Bucs throw at an above average rate when they're massively ahead. If they're behind, they're throwing 70% of the time.
Yeah.
Same thing goes on with the Chiefs. Neither one of these teams want to run the football very much. So we've got this game where it's just going to be like passing galore. There is some good defense on the Bucs side that we can consider. They shut down Aaron. Now, Josh, when you're watching the Bucs beat Aaron Rodgers, your mortal enemy Packers team, being a Minnesota fan, are you? And I mean, both of you guys are both like Midwest NFC North guys. Like, are you rooting actively in that game for Tom Brady to smash?
I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I was excited. In my head, I'm going, okay, Brady's throwing all of these picks. Like, in my head, I'm going, is the Chiefs defense viable next week? Like, that's what's going through my head during that game. But I don't know. I'm maybe this is sacrilege, but I kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Like, I like the gunslinger. I like Devontae Adams. Like, I can get on board with the Packers.
You're not a hater.
I'm not a hater.
Packers, the way most Vikings fans are.
Yeah, I'm not a hater.
And how about you? I mean, big Bears fan, Bobby Clinks.
I hate the Pack. I mean, puck the Packers through and through, except for Aaron Rodgers. I agree with Josh. I think Rodgers gets a bad rap. I think he's underrated. I think he is the superior talent to Tom Brady, even in terms of GOAT status.
Stop.
I do. I think Brady's had better talent around him in terms of the team element of the sport. I think Rodgers is the more talented QB.
Let me tell you something. Brady is the legit GOAT. He's basically the Bobby Clinkert of football. It's undisputed. No one at this point, when he wins this if he wins the Super Bowl, You can't even have an argument about it. I was like, oh, I thought I liked Joe Montana. Come on. There's no Joe Montana. Forget it.
I'll say this too. It's like the Jordan LeBron debate. Jordan is the GOAT, and I think Brady is the ultimate GOAT. I think might be the superior talent. We might be seeing that.
You're so contrarian.
I hate to say
you're contrarian with your.
I'm genuinely not trying to be. I think that's true of Rodgers. I think that's true of LeBron.
Okay, can we talk about something that I saw today that blew my mind? Mahomes' dad is only 7 years older than Tom Brady.
You were going to say only 7 years older than Mahomes, and that was going to really blow. What?
But seriously,
are you waiting on that?
7 years older than Brady. That's I feel like Pat Mahomes pitched for the Twins 100 years ago.
Brady can be Mahomes' dad.
He legitimately could. Legitimately could.
Could be his pops. It could be. So
would you see that picture on coverage? I can't remember who it was. It was the quarterback for the Raiders, at 43, and then Brady, and they put them side by side. It was hilarious.
I saw a lot of stuff like that this week with Brady all old and Mahomes as a little baby. But it really truly is the end of an era and the beginning of a dynasty. It's like you're watching it all play out. So I love it. I'm so excited.
Tell me this, Geek. Who do you have a rooting interest based on those things? Because for me, if Mahomes is going to be around for a while, I would kind of like to see him lose. Let's get the fire back in him. I don't want to see him win and beat the GOAT right now. What about you? What are you feeling for this?
I wouldn't mind seeing Brady go out with a win. I like that. I like the story of it. I like sort of the he's not going out. He wants to come back next year.
Right.
The reality is he's not even going out. But so do I have a rooting interest? No, I only root for my money.
I was just gonna say, I'm rooting for the Bucs to cover.
If I bet this game, I'm rooting for whoever I bet. Or my DFS, I root for that. I've gotten long past rooting for players or having any care about anything if my money is not involved.
I feel like my rooting interest changes
like a true Jets fan.
As the game goes on. All of a sudden I'm like, oh shit. I need Darrell Williams to get in the game here. Let's go.
Yeah. Your rooting interest is only about your money. Now, before we get into the breakdown, there's so much going on. We got a lot going on in DFS Army that I have to mention here ahead of this game. There's all kinds of promos. So I want to mention a few of them that we have going on for everybody who's watching to jump in on these. Because this is it, guys. They're big events. They have special promos built around them. So I'm going to give you a couple. One of them is for a site called Prize Picks, right? I probably should have brushed up on these things before we actually started this. So it's a site called Prize Picks. We're doing content for it. Keg's doing videos every day. And what Prize Picks is doing is for new accounts, they have they have a pick'em contest basically, and it's straight cash for how many you get right. So apparently if you get 16 of these choices right, and you know how pick'em works, it'll be over unders for all these different players for various questions, touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. So you got 16 questions to answer. If you hit all 16, you win 10 grand. If you do 15, you get 5 grand. It's a sliding scale. And that entry is free for anybody who signs up a new account with promo code. I should have known the promo code. I'm sure it's Army wait, let's see what the promo code is. I don't know. Let's see. Prize Picks promo code DFS Army. There we go. So if you sign up there, use promo code DFS Army, they also match $100. So basically, think about this. You put in $100, they match it, you get $200 to play. Plus you get in this awesome contest where if you can, it's free to it's just free entry. So it's a really, really good contest to get involved with. The other thing that we have going on, like I said, we got a few things going on here. The other thing, the Sportsbet Army people are running a big promo. We're posting it all in Slack. I'm not even going to get into it too much, but basically there's a prize pool, and I don't know. I wish I had brushed up on it, but go check it out in Slack. You sign up for one of the books that sponsor us, and there's all kinds of money being given out and prizes, and you get entered into this big pool for a big prize. Go check it out. There's 10 spots left. So I wanted to cover a couple of those things first because we're doing a lot of stuff for the Super Bowl. There's boxes going around, a lot of stuff to keep it fun. And tomorrow I'll have John Statsational Alicia on a special Super Bowl kind of prop show where we talk about props games, how to beat these props, all kinds of stuff like that. So, yeah, there we go. I love it. Yeah, get in there.
Oh.
DFS Army, Prize Picks. It's a great content. They give you free money. And also Super Draft. By the way, wait, I didn't even mention Super Draft. Hold on. Super Draft, promo code. Wait, we'll get that up on the screen. But Super Draft is also doing a 50% deposit match. More importantly than that, Super Draft is running giant contests that have no chance of filling.
Yeah.
No chance. No chance. I loves me some overlay. They're doing showdowns, and the super. I did a Super Draft showdown breakdown, which you could check out on this channel, DFS Army YouTube. What's our code? Army. There we go. Up to. So you put in 1,000, you get $1,500 to play with, and the big thing is these contests have so much overlay. Like 20,000. I asked the guys at Super Draft. They're like, yeah, we've never had like more than 6,000 people in a contest, and this has 27,000 spots. So. It's a lot of overlay. It's a lot of overlay. I don't know how much because it's early, but that is free money in case you don't know. So you got $500 free overlay. You got to take advantage of the big events. So yeah, we did a lot of toys. See, we haven't even gotten.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. You got to get in on Super Draft. It's awesome.
I like Prize Picks too. I like that you can do the stats and the fantasy points, or the fantasy points. I like the way the site's set up.
Yeah, no, Prize Picks is really cool. A lot of these sites are great. You have to check your state. They're not available in every single state. Yeah. So you got to check that out. But these are really, really awesome deals. All right, let's get into this game, guys.
Let's do it.
Now we've got our odds. I always put up the odds. Let's go team by team as usual. We're going to get into every single position group for every team. Everything is relevant. Crown jewel of the season. Bobby, if you don't win this, I'm going to be disappointed. I really am.
Someone from DFS Army will.
100%. I would say 100%. Someone. This is going to be a big tie group. So,
yeah.
I mean, have you seen the DraftKings? But by the way, 653,000 entrants. A million to first. Now, here's what's fun. All right, let's talk about the contest for a second. This is just the first one that will open up, right?
Right.
They'll probably have opportunity for another $10 contest before this thing is through. So you'll be able to put in 300 lineups potentially, maybe more, plus the $3 ones. I believe, and I want your guys' opinion on this. I believe you want to have a unique in pretty much every contest that's available for a thing like this. So for me, I'd look at this one and say, all right, I'm going to reserve 150 spots. But if there are $3 contests, whatever, I'll do the same. I'll the 20 spots, I'll take those.
Yep.
And I will just not even differentiate between the lineups that go into them. I'm just going to put as many lineups as I can. They'll all be uniques. Reason being that $3 contest, if you win it, is also going to pay a lot of money.
Yeah. Yep. That's one of the beauties of the domination station, right? You can run more than 150 at a time. It's beautiful.
Going to make as many as I need. So I'm going to just fill it up because I'm going to try to win this. Same thing on FanDuel. Like there's a lot of contests and you want to just keep hammering uniques, make sure you win it. FanDuel, I'm a little bit less excited to throw a ton of uniques at because a lot of times you could find the nuts in like your first like 50 and then you don't want to be, you and a lot of other people find it. And then it's a tie. That could be pretty gross. All right. Let's take a look at these teams and let's think back to first of all, these teams have played before.
They have.
Now, Josh, did you look up what happened the last time these two teams played?
Yeah. Tyreek Hill became Sean Murphy Bunting's father. He owns him now. Had 61 DraftKings points. But yeah, it was 31-20 or something like that. Like it was maybe for how good Tyreek was. It was maybe a little closer than I think that people thought it was going to be.
27-24, but it was all Tyreek.
Yeah, it was all Tyreek.
Yeah. Actually made Murphy Bunting his child.
Yeah.
And then he child abused him.
Yeah. It was bad. It was one of those days where if you didn't have Tyreek Hill in your lineup, like you didn't cash, right? Like,
oh yeah.
It's been a lot of days like that.
It was crazy.
Absolutely. Other notes, Mahomes had a great game.
Yep.
Travis Kelce, let's see. I mean, I like to go through it. You know what I mean? Kelce just always has a good game, but that one was a down game for him because Tyreek Hill sucked up all of the work.
But like 8 for 82 is a down game. Like that's insane, isn't it?
You know, throw a touchdown on there, one more catch and a touchdown.
He's
and
great.
16.2 goes to 28.
Yeah.
Close. It's very close stuff. Go through all these guys. They, you know, that game was 17 points for Godwin. That game was a preview a little bit. Although I will say 20 points for Evans as usual. Godwin, Evans very close. Not a whole lot. 3 for 9. Got 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans in that game. So Mahomes put up 35. Brady in the previous meeting 26.7. So there we go.
What did Rojo do that game?
Nothing special. I think he had 60 yards rushing, had another reception. Might have caught a touchdown.
Had a good game. 17 points. There you go. Caught a touchdown. Yep. There it is.
Yep.
Now, Rojo doesn't catch the passes anymore. It's going to be Leonard Fournette. So
playoff Lenny.
Yeah, playoff Lenny's looking pretty good. So let's get into each team here, guys. Let's start on the Kansas City side. Kansas City has more players that are relevant a lot of weeks. Now, obviously, we know Pat Mahomes, but our primary pass catchers here, Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Now, Josh, you had an interesting take on Kelce. Some hunch here that.
Yeah. So my assumption is that this offensive line is in such bad shape that, especially with Fisher going out and them having to move Remmers from right tackle to left tackle, is that I think Kelce may have to, and this is, I wrote in my notes, like this is conjecture. I think Kelce may have to help a little more on the line. And if that's the case, I think we see a massive game from Tyreek Hill. And again, I think Kelce's going to have like 8 for 80. I don't think that he's going to get his, but I do think that and Mahomes has talked about it this week that he just can't let Shaq Barrett and JPP mess him up. And he's just going to have to get the ball out quick. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's a really intriguing matchup to watch because if you look at this offensive line for KC, the Vikings have a terrible offensive line, and all of these guys would be backups. And now their center is on the COVID list. If for some reason he doesn't pass, there's some issues on the O line here for KC.
I would add to it, and Bobby, I want your take on this. That that Bucs defense did play very well against the Packers. I mean, sacking Rodgers, I think 5 times in that game. They were everywhere in that game, and they weren't that good most of the season. So I don't know if they're coming on strong later. That was a 1-game anomaly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. I think we're going to see a ton of scoring in this game. I think both the Chiefs and the Bucs are going to put up a ton of points. I think the over is going to hit relatively easily. You're right. It's super important to consider what happened 2 weeks ago. But at the same time, I don't know. It seems like an outlier, like you said to me.
Vita Vea being back in the middle is big for that Bucs defense. But I mean, they have Jamel Dean or not? Who's their linebacker? It's not Dean.
Chief. The High Chief is their elite cornerback.
Yeah. But I think this Bucs defense is good. Maybe I'm just talking myself into it because it's really tough to afford Mahomes, Kelce, and
you're just talking. Yeah, I mean, 100%.
All the same lineup. I think that's part of it.
Let's be honest here. Your best approach is to get Kelce, Mahomes,
100%,
and Hill in the same lineup together. Kelce's going. He's more likely than not going to smash.
He's gonna have 15, 16 points. That's a floor, right?
Yeah, the question isn't will he get to 16. The question is will he get to 32. Yeah, 16 is a given for all intents and purposes.
I think I do think at his price tag, I don't know. Like, when we saw earlier this year when Mahomes had a great game and was not in the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a possibility here. And whether that's Mahomes or Kelsey or Hill, I think it's possible that one of those guys has a really nice game and doesn't get there.
I would say it's actually quite likely that happens. That's how it goes. Like Mahomes could put up 33, but him being the most expensive and with Kelsey and Hill also smashing, you can't afford all three. He doesn't make it. That happened in week 2 of this year. Now, Bobby, Tyreek Hill, I think Travis Kelsey, there's only so much we could really break down here. Like they're awesome. Try to get them in your lineup. Then we get beyond those 2 super studs and we start to talk about the running game. So for the Chiefs, it's definitely a little bit weird in the running game. Number one, because Tampa is elite against the run, and I kind of don't like running backs against Tampa as a general rule.
Right.
Then you add in the fact that it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams really splitting touches, and we don't know. Like, what is your take, Bobbywow, on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams situation? Do we think that now 2 more weeks removed from the ankle sprain, now all of a sudden Helaire is going to get back to his 45-50% snap count role, or is he going to just be what he was a couple weeks ago, which is more of like a yardage and just kind of red zone, goal line back type situation where if he doesn't score the touchdown, you're dead?
I do think, after reading a couple of different articles, I think we see more Clyde Edwards-Helaire on Sunday. I don't think it's nearly as close between him and Darrell in terms of who's taking snaps.
You think he'll take more snaps than Darrell?
I do. I think it'll be 60-40, 65-35, somewhere in that ballpark. Before this playoff started, I had some concerns that Andy Reid might not trust Edwards-Helaire because he's a rookie. But after seeing the play he ran with Tannehill to win the game, that's no longer a concern for me. So I do think now that, Edwards-Helaire is healthier, he's got 2 weeks under his feet, including that last start that he had. I think we'll see more of him. That said, I still don't know that that's going to transfer into fantasy relevance based on the Bucs defense. So I will be lightly exposed to Edwards-Helaire, even though I do think he's going to get some more playing time.
Their props are identical. They're 30.5. I mean, Edwards-Helaire is a little heavier, but like they're just it feels like one of those guys that's going to ruin a showdown, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like it feels like there is a guy. It's like, oh, I can't play Edwards-Helaire. He's going to get 30 yards and 2 catches, and he's going to get a touchdown and ruin it.
The over-under. Look at the difference in the over-unders between DraftKings and the other books.
I don't know, because I'm on the DraftKings book right now, and it's 30.5. So I don't know if that's pulling right.
Okay,
but
this must be off, because I'm like, wait a second, why the hell is this 15?
Honestly, I think it's pulling from the odds boost, because DraftKings is odd boost.
Something off about that. Okay.
Yep.
Hang on. Who's the other? Darrell Williams. Yeah, something's off about the DraftKings one, but yeah, it's about the same on the other ones. So there we go. Yeah, something's odd about the DraftKings one. Let's get the touchdown prop. Look at how much. 200 plus 210 for Darrell Williams. Okay, Helaire.
Did I say Tannehill instead of Henny?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna call you on it, but obviously.
I was like, what play did he run with Tannehill? What?
Plus 200.
Yeah, plus 200. They're about the same. So the props are identical for these two guys, meaning figure on a 50-50 split and not a whole lot of goodness come from either. We'll check out the Fournette and the Rojo stuff in a minute here, but I want to continue on the focus on Kansas City. So for the most part, running game, ignore. Yeah, you obligatory have to have some exposure, but it's a pretty big ignore. It's not a good matchup for these guys. And both teams want to throw. We talked about it at the start. So speaking of throwing, Sammy Watkins, the hero of last season's Super Bowl Showdown.
Oh, I couldn't believe that.
The hero of it. The guy who we were all like, I don't want to play Sammy Watkins. Nah, I don't want to play. Yeah, here we go. The Henny fans are very upset with you here. So Sammy Watkins, Bobby, is this the captain? of your DraftKings team?
Of course, the first thing I do when I look at a slate is where can we find leverage? So by default, I like a guy like Watkins. But I do think that people are going to sleep on Sammy Watkins this week.
Me too.
He hasn't played since week 16, and he is way too cheap. He's cheaper than the kickers. He's cheaper than Edwards-Helaire. And you got to think that the Bucs, although they're not going to be successful, are going to do everything they possibly can to limit Tyreek Hill as a pass catcher, which would open the door naturally for Sammy Watkins to come in again. So I personally love Watkins on the slate, and he is a very, very, very interesting pivot in deep GPP off of Hill.
I don't even say deep. Everything's a deep GPP.
I guess that's true. It's a showdown. I really like Watkins a lot.
Watkins doesn't need to do very much at this salary. Throw him in at captain. He's only 6,300. You've got 8,740 per player left.
You can build a nice lineup.
DraftKings, in kindness, did not price these guys the way they do on normal showdowns. Have you noticed that? Like, have you tried to make a line?
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
They're a little cheaper than they normally are, right? So all it takes is one other cheap guy, pretty much.
Unless Antonio Brown's out and you throw Scotty Miller in.
Well, I'm hoping that will be the case, or a Mecole Hardman who gets a few snaps, and now all of a sudden we're hanging out in the fun zone.
Right. With Watkins too, I'm looking at, I'm not going to name the site, but projected ownership in the captain at 1.6%. So if you run a 5% Watkins captain, you're likely going to have huge leverage on the field. It's not going to take much, right? And
absolutely.
And like you said, with them trying to cover Hill and Kelsey, Watkins runs 34% of his snaps out of the slot. So he's going to see some Murphy bunting, and he could be the guy here again.
The hero of last year's Super Bowl showdown. Yeah. He could do it again. I'm down with that. So, all right, continuing through the pass catchers, obviously Watkins appears to be coming back. And if he's back, we all agree that we really like Sammy Watkins. I don't really like Sammy Watkins generally, but on a showdown, in a one-gamer at that price, and he usually gets 6 or 7 targets. When he plays the full game, he gets 6 or 7 targets. Now, his return will come at the expense, not of Mecole Hardman, I don't think.
No.
I think it comes at the expense of Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle. And I'd actually say Demarcus Robinson. I kind of think Byron Pringle is going to play anyway. I like Byron Pringle.
Good. He's a nice possession receiver. Mahomes isn't afraid to go his way right at the sticks.
Yeah, no, he'll throw it to Pringle. I think Pringle will get snaps over Demarcus Robinson. If you look at last week, Pringle got more snaps than Demarcus Robinson. He was on the field for all the plays. So to me, if I have to glean anything from that, I think Pringle is ahead of Demarcus Robinson in the pecking order.
And Robinson can't practice all week.
Doesn't help Robinson that he can't. He got the Rona, he got the vid exposure. So the deep now, Bobbywow. Is it too extreme to actually roll a lineup with Byron Pringle at the cap?
I will say this. Nothing is too extreme on a Super Bowl showdown slate if you're aiming for the first place prize. I prefer Watkins. His ownership isn't going to be that much higher, crazily.
I think it will. I think it's going to go higher than you think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it'll go a little bit higher. I think you'll get if I had to really make a real prediction, I say 5% captain.
Sure.
I just don't think you'll need a guy like Pringle in the captain slot with the way the salaries are priced. Otherwise, I would say yes, I'm all in on that. But I think even him in the flex allows you to do enough with the current pricing.
Here's the thing with Pringle and the captain, and really just with any kind of dud in the captain, is that if another dud scores or has a touchdown, you likely don't that lineup's probably dead because you likely don't have them in that lineup, and it helps the Mahomes captains and the Hill captains.
Well, that opens up those guys who took Mahomes Hill,
right? So like you really need Pringle to smash, or not necessarily smash, but you need like only studs to score.
Yep.
Totally. All right. Now getting to the final couple of pieces on screen here, I'm going to say Le'Veon Bell and Darwin Thompson are comfortable ignores.
Agreed. You could play it maybe.
I'm slightly interested to see if Le'Veon Bell is even going to be active. If he's active, it makes things a little more interesting between him and Darrell. But yeah, I
don't think so. I think it's pretty clear who plays ahead of who, and it's not Le'Veon. What the hell happened to Le'Veon Bell? We can have a whole show on that. All right.
Went to New York, played for your Jets.
And they ruined him. Like what? Now
he saw the ghost that Sammy D saw.
He was good. They paid him all this money. Maybe he's the fat Zeke Elliott guy, but it's actually Le'Veon Bell. He got paid, and then he didn't care.
It's the same thing that happened to James Conner next year.
Yeah. Well, James Conner's in this in the article also for free agent movement, and he's not going to be on the Steelers. I'll tell you that. All right, so let's take a look at the Bucs side of the football again. Pass heavy teams. This is the focus of the Super Bowl. Both teams are going to throw at a 60+% rate. Focus on the pass catchers, which we love on DraftKings because we play those pass catchers at the captain spot. So I think everything on DraftKings this week, when it comes to the Bucs side, is a little contrarian because everybody's going to try to get as much of the Chiefs offense into their lineup as they can, which makes me excited about the Bucs offense. They'll be throwing just as much. Start at the top. Godwin and Evans. The field, and this is what's interesting. The field, in terms of ownerships, for every slate, tends to prefer Godwin.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's interesting because Evans has been the better player, but the field wants Godwin to be the guy. They want it to. Godwin is always heavier owned than Mike Evans, and interestingly, I believe Godwin is mildly more expensive here than Mike Evans on DraftKings. At least, what do we look like on FanDuel, Bobbywow?
I believe it's the same way. I want to say he's like $500 more.
Yeah, odd, right? It's strange because when you look at their usage, it's almost identical. Target percentage. Now, that was a tough matchup for Mike Evans last week going up against Jair Alexander, and yet the same number of targets pretty much. Evans much more heavily utilized in the red zone and in end zone targets compared to Godwin as well. So, Bobby, is that a leverage spot for us here? Maybe take a look at where the field is a little bit heavier, specifically on Godwin across the board, but also at captain, where we can go a little bit heavier on Mike Evans. And how excited are you to play these pass catchers from the Bucs offense as your captain?
It certainly could be a leverage spot. For me, both of those guys usually do enough to kind of take away the flash from the other. So, even when Evans is having better weeks, it's not like Godwin's putting up duds necessarily. And for that reason, it's not like Evans is breaking the slate every week. So my concern about using them as captains is they kind of take away from each other. And, Brady's really, really good about spreading the ball between them. Evans has been the touchdown guy for the most part recently. Godwin's been the volume guy. So, I think you could take a stand and try and get some leverage if you're running 150. I don't know that there's enough there for me to like love one of them as a captain play on the slate.
Interesting. I'm a little surprised. I thought just based on ownership alone, like they're just going to be lower owned. Yeah. Listen, part of the problem with the pricing here is they are fairly close in price to, the Tyreeks and the elite tier here, right?
Right.
I would have liked to see to shave about another 500 to 1,000 off the salaries here.
See, and I would have liked them to be higher, right? Like, because if they're $1,000 more, right, and they're just under Tom Brady's price, now nobody's going to play them.
Right.
You think? Well, we'll have to see what the ownership ends up. But like I said, I do think a lot of people are going to want to squeeze. I think the most common way to go is going to be to try to squeeze one of Kelsey or Hill, and then probably get one of these two wide receivers as well, and then maybe get a quarterback in there and try to make it work. I think that'll be a pretty common approach that I don't think it's a winning approach necessarily, but you got to do something unique to win this.
Yeah, I think ownership's going to be really interesting this week in the sense that, like, I'll get 40 text messages this week from buddies who don't ever play and are going to throw a single dart into this Super Bowl millionaire contest. You know what I mean? And if you're going to ask the average guy on the street, what do you think the spread is between the Chiefs and the Bucs this week? They're going to say, oh, the Chiefs are going to romp, right? Like, if I was to go upstairs and ask my wife, she'd say the Chiefs are going to win by 2 touchdowns. But that's not the reality, right? So I think there is a point there that, some of these guys from Tampa are going to be way under-owned. I'm intrigued, right?
I'm interested in both of those pass catchers because, again, if Tom Brady is going to be throwing nonstop during this game, those are the guys he throws to. I mean, he's throwing to those two guys. We'll go through the rest of this. So another guy
I fully agree. I think what I'm saying is take a stand on one of those guys. If you really want to go in on one of those guys as a captain, take a stand and double down on one of them because we've seen both of them go off.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I love the take a stand approach, by the way. I think it's depending on, again, how many lineups you're making. At some point, if you're making 150 or 250, I'm probably not taking any stands. I'm just like mixing it up and hoping I hit that magic. The stand might be, like for me, the stand might be, I'm not going to play Mahomes.
Sure.
I might just say, I'm just not going to play the quarterback. We know the stats. We know that the quarterback only is the nuts captain, I don't know, 17% of the time, 16% on DraftKings. We know that people play the quarterbacks 35% of the time at captain. Yep. So there is edge to just not playing them at all.
If you don't play one of the big three Chiefs as a captain, you're already more unique than half the field.
Then you can spend all your sat, like, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to try to do that. That's why I'm looking at these guys. That's why I'm looking at Godwin. I'm looking at Evans, but I want to save a little bit more, and that's where we can take a look at some of these other guys. How about Uncle Lenny? Okay, 70% of the snaps against the Packers. 70%. 50% of the carries, but more importantly, much more importantly, 20% of the targets in the passing game. They threw to Lenny a lot. He's cheap relative to these other guys. 12 rushes. You're like, that's not that great. The fuck am I going to do with that? Well, how about 7 targets, 5 receptions, only 20 yards? Not a whole lot going on, but 5 receptions, 20 yards, is 7 fantasy points. You add that in, squeeze in a touchdown along the way, or 20 points.
Am I the only one that, like, watching the games thinks that Ron Jones looks better?
And it's not close.
It's not close. And I would go on record and say that, like, I was a Ron Jones hater. Like, but he looks fucking better than Lenny Fournette. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know what you watched where he looked better, because it wasn't the Packers game where he wasn't getting anything. He's looked good in games, but not last week. He didn't look very good.
I don't know if you saw this, but a couple weeks ago, it came out that Arians was pissed at Jones. And I can't remember where I saw it, where I read it, but it was the game that Jones ended up sitting without an injury designation. And then they said he hurt his hamstring or something.
Yes.
But there was either he tweeted some things that upset Arians, or he was talking about things with players. And like from that moment on, yes, we've seen him get back into games a little bit, but Lenny has been the clear main back with Tampa. So I wonder if part of it is maybe health, but another big part of it is he in the Arians doghouse? I talk about that in my notes a little bit. That's a big deal. And if he is, Lenny is a very solid play.
Yeah, for sure. No, Fournette's a great play, I think. He just catches, especially on DraftKings, where he has that catching upside.
Let's take a look at the props and what the money says. So,
props.
Of course, this weird, again, something's up on DraftKings. They like have these specialty numbers here. So if you guys are using the DraftKings Sportsbook, hammer the over on these. They're like way too low.
Yeah, they're way too low.
Like if you could find that line, hammer it. Or if that's a promotional, hammer it. But the real line here is 50 yards, 45 yards, rushing, receiving yards. Again, DraftKings, weird line. Don't know what the fuck is going on there, but hammer the over on 5 yards. Like, if you could bet this, go bet this right now. Hammer the over. But 23.5 receiving yards. I like the over on that. You get that on PointsBet. FanDuel has it at 25. I like the overs here. Receptions made over 3.5. Those are good numbers, guys. That means the expectation is 4+ receptions for Leonard Fournette. That's great. I'll take that. Longest reception, touchdown odds
120.
Yeah, so about 50-50.
That's pretty good,
It's
though.
not
I mean,
bad at all. Yeah.
Evans is 110. So he's the second highest on the Bucs.
Wow.
Evans is a touchdown scorer. We like that. So
Yeah.
Kelsey, I'm sure, has the highest.
Yeah, Kelsey and Hill are both minus 175. But
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Sujit is going to play Rojo at captain.
Contrarian to the DFSA contrarians.
This is like
3%
this
would be
contrarian, maybe a little too much. But the
I
nice
like the
thing
thought.
about Rojo is he's very, very cheap. And so, again, if you're playing him at captain, he's basically free. And so at that point, you just load up on, let's have a high-priced player party. Okay. You could put everybody in there. Okay, Kelsey, whatever you want. Get Reek going. Hill, Kelsey, Godwin, Fournette. Get everybody in there. I don't know if I'm doing that, Sujit.
No.
I think it's too much. We could do better. But
I do think
shares of Ron Jones.
If we're talking about being unique, I think there's something there to, lineups where you game script out lineups with both running backs from a team. So like if you want to be really unique and play a Ronald Jones Lenny lineup, obviously that's not a lineup I'm playing Tom Brady in. Maybe it's more of a grinding game, or vice versa. Maybe you want to get Darrell Williams and Edwards-Helaire. Maybe Darrell catches a touchdown, Edwards-Helaire runs one in or runs two in. That's going to be super unique. Again, I don't love it, but if we were talking about getting unique, silly for the millie for Super Bowl Showdown, that's definitely a viable approach.
I don't think there's anything when you're going up against 670,000 lineups. Like, there's no approach that you could do that's like really bad. You know what I mean? Because again, it's win or go home. There's no second place here, guys. Right. Second place is 350th place, to be honest. So like, you either won and you hit the nuts, perfect lineup, or you didn't and you lost money. That's it.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm dedicating the money I'm putting into these tournaments as Super Bowl fun money.
Yep.
Win or die. No in between. I'm not worried about breaking even. No. Because it's going to be a 300-way tie for first place. So it doesn't matter. Yep. You win or you go home. You win this, you join Bobbywow as the Millie Maker winner. Even if it only adds up to a couple $100,000. Because you split it. Still, I want a Millie Maker. That's the goal.
That's all that matters.
All right, so let's get beyond the obvious ones. Fournette and Jones. Now we get to a little bit of a sketch area. Number one, Antonio Brown, practicing partially, gonna play, not gonna play. We don't know. When Antonio Brown came out of the game last week or last game,
yep,
it was Scotty Miller and Tyler Joe that replaced him. Now, interestingly, it's been 2 weeks of Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson. Scotty Miller got more snaps last week. Tyler Johnson, the previous week, was on the field more.
Yep.
I want to look at the target numbers because I'm getting a number here that says that Tyler Johnson.
It's pulling wrong.
Yeah, that's pulling incorrect. He did not get 25%.
It was 3 and 2 last week.
Yeah, he only had a couple targets.
Miller had 3, I think, and Johnson had 2.
Not a ton.
What's interesting,
Miller is the better play. Maybe it's recency bias because he caught a touchdown.
It's really interesting that there's been, a couple of weeks now where in big-time situations, like at the end of the game there when they had that pass interference penalty, Brady slung it to Tyler Johnson twice now.
You got to get him in some lineups. It's not these guys. By the way, we saw Traquan Smith do this. Every time you start to think a player isn't going to get there, he doesn't get a lot of volume. I want you to remember Traquan Smith a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Think about that. 3K min salary. You felt nauseous to play him. But the guy who won, we had a guy in DFS Army. I don't know if it was 200K. There's so many 150 and 250K wins at this point. I lose track of which one was what. But he put Traquan Smith in the flex for that showdown, not for the showdown, for the 4-game, or 6-game, whatever it was, the big playoff slate.
Yeah.
And that was the move at 1.2% ownership that caused you to win all the monies. So that's where these randos come in. That's where your Scotty Miller and your Tyler Johnson, assuming there's no Antonio Brown, that's where these kind of guys, they can randomly just put up 20 points. It doesn't take that much. It takes 2 receptions, 2 big plays, and that's it. The Traquan Smith game, 2 catches, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 24 fantasy points. Nuts play. I saw Byron Pringle do it. We've seen these things happen time and time and time again. So you got to wipe out your cognitive biases and just be like, I know that it's unlikely, and just we're not worried about what's likely. We're worried about what's possible.
And that's the issue with these showdowns sometimes, is that we have that cognitive bias of I just want to cash, right?
Never, worst.
That's the worst attitude you can have when you're building lineups. That will lead you to losing money long term on showdowns.
All DFS is going to lead you to losing money, not just showdowns. So unless it's all GPP tournaments, right? So now, Bobby,
I would go as far to say in each of your lineups in the big GPP contest, don't have all guys that everyone's cheering for. Don't cheer for the guys everyone's cheering for. There needs to be one guy in your lineup that when everyone's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't pick that," you are cheering for that guy. That's how you win. Traquan Smith was that guy 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Who's it going to be on Sunday? I think we've outlined a couple.
Wait. I got to play the song for that. Who's it going to be? Who is it going to be?
Is Cam Brate in that video? Because I feel like he at one point was a turd, but now he's the number 1 tight end.
He's not in the video, but we're up to Cam Brate. So, all right, we got Scotty Miller, got a little, what happens if Antonio Brown plays? That messes me all up. I think you just play him.
Yeah, I think you play him.
I almost like Scotty more if AB plays.
See, of course.
See, there we go. Contrarian, right?
If he's active. I should say if he's active.
I mean,
Antonio Brown plays, hurts the ankle, comes out. Scotty Miller steps in, 2 touchdowns, no ownership.
Miller's a sneaky deep threat too. He can take the top off. He can go.
We saw it last week.
Yeah. He can do it. Yeah. They don't. The Patriots throw a lot. The Bucs throw a lot, but they don't throw to the same guy a lot. That's the problem with the team. They spread the football around, and they've done it all season, which is, on FanDuel opens up Tom Brady for that.
I think Tom Brady on DK too as a captain. He just spreads the ball around so much.
A reasonable captain, and you can play him with a rule in place. At least 2 kind of rule in place. Although I don't like to get too crazy with the rules. Let's continue down. Justin Watson is an ignore. These turds are too turdly for me. Tanner Hudson, but the one guy. There's 2 more guys here. I guess the tight end position, and I can't get down. I'll ask you guys. Are we really messing with Justin Watson, Keyshawn Vaughn, Tanner Hudson, or Jaden Mickens here? At all?
I don't think so. I mean, essentially special teams.
Yeah, I can't mess with these guys. So, LaShawn McCoy, same boat. No, it's a no for me. So let's come back to Gronk and Brate. Man, Gronk, dude. Gronk was my favorite player in the NFL for a long time. I love Gronk. I like him as a person.
Did you see what came out about him this week?
Yes, that he was faking his wind sprints.
He just did one video, or like just one day he did all his sprints in different shirts and then sent them to his club. Like, how awesome is that?
That's the most Gronk thing ever. I love it. He's like, oh, I'll do it again. You know, like he's just like such a goon, and he's just like a jolly goon. I love the guy.
Yeah,
I love the guy. But you know, I keep trying to make Gronk a thing, Bobbywow. Like I keep thinking we're gonna get a vintage Gronk game. He still gets red zone targets. He's been getting them, but you know they haven't been connecting. Or
and
is
he
it
still gets double the ownership projection as Cam Brate for
that's
some
true.
reason?
That's true.
He does. Well, because he's also on the field 90% of the time. Like he deserves the higher projection. He's on the field more. But the targets aren't there. I mean, 3% target share. This guy's not. They're not throwing to him very much, and when they do, he's not doing a whole lot with it. So, like I said, I think this is one of those low-owned situations. Like you kind of got to play a little Gronk because he's Gronk. He's probably more expensive than he should be considering the production.
The last two games, in the most important games of the season, for the Bucs,
True.
Gronk snap count 43 and 67. And Cameron Brate's snap count 42 and 51.
They're playing a lot of tight end.
So they're essentially splitting snaps at this point.
They are.
Is where we're at. Yeah. I will say this. Listen, Gronk does have a couple of 19-pointers. One of which came on just 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Another one actually was that one game, the last time they played K-Sizzles, 20 fantasy points. Kansas City, very bad against tight ends. 29th, giving up a lot of points to the tight end position. Brate and Gronk. So I think the consensus is we like Brate a little bit more.
I do, yes.
Yeah, Brate is finally priced above Gronk, actually quite a lot above Gronk here. 4,800 versus 3K. So they finally flipped it around where Brate is now expensive. And I think he's egregiously expensive right now, actually, at almost 5K. It's like ridiculous. A little bit. Brate needs to score a touchdown to even get anywhere at all most weeks. Like he's usually not going to get you there without a touchdown.
True.
If he's the same, he's significantly more than Sammy Watkins. Like, you know, are you going to play Brate over Watkins?
I like playing both.
Yeah, you can get them both in there. So, all right, that's it for our matchups portion, right? We've gone through every player on both teams. Now let's get a little bit down to business here. We'll look at the notes and we'll kind of get down to some of these details. Who to play at the captain, who to play at the flex. We talked a lot about that throughout, but we'll just reiterate some stuff. So, Josh, I'm looking at your notes here, and everybody chime in. This isn't an anybody, one-person thing. So if I play Pat Mahomes, you've got him as a GPP play. Explain your reasoning, the basis for him being a GPP play.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so expensive, right? Like, it's hard for me to build a lineup that I feel really good about with Mahomes. I mean, to be honest, I think it almost needs to be a lower scoring game for him to kind of be in the nuts. And I don't love him at captain really in any sort of format, GPP, cash. Like, I'll be underweight on the field. I
mean, for me, I love Mahomes as a player,
I know.
but
I'm gonna have a ton. I'm gonna have like 70% in the flex. I'll be over the field there. But like at captain, it's just really hard to get on board with that sort of salary and what the lineup construction looks like.
He's projected for 20. I don't know if these ownership projections just popped up during this while we were doing this, or this has been here the whole time. But pretty cool if it happened while we were doing this. But he's projected to be 20% owned at captain, guys. That's a lot of ownership. A lot of lineups, Bobbywow. That's 120,000 lineups built around Mahomes at the captain. At 600,000, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Too much. I don't mind full fading that shit.
Yeah, I think you could, for sure.
You are speaking my love language. Yeah.
I'm trying to win this. I'm not trying to go in and if I have to compete with 130,000 lineups, what are the chances that I'm going to beat those guys? So I don't like that chance.
In that big contest, you should have 0 Mahomes captains.
I mean, people do what they're going to do. I'm just saying, like, it makes sense to play him because he's awesome. But there's a very good argument that says if he's smashing, I bet Tyreek Hill or Sammy Watkins or somebody who's cheaper than him is smashing more.
And it's all about total points, right? Like, it's all about building that total point structure. And I just don't think you can really do that with an $18,000 Mahomes captain.
I'm the champ is asking about Leonard Fournette captain.
Yeah, I like Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Fine with it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Sujit is asking, Brayton Gronk in the same lineup too much? Probably.
Silly for the Millie, but yeah.
Yeah, it's probably too much. But again, it's hard to really, really go really wrong going up against 630,000 other people. Remember that I took down the $8 tournament 2 weeks ago with Connor, Roethlisberger, and all 3 wide receivers for the Steelers all in the same lineup. And it felt very weird to put the running back in there. And of course, he catches a touchdown and adds to the whole mix. And it wins the tournament because no one else wanted to play that, rightfully so. And no optimizer would create it, not to mention they were all up against their opposing defense, which was a very unusual approach. Travis Kelce, you've also got him. I'm assuming that Travis Kelce GPP is about your concept of
and that's if you read the notes like I wrote, like I think he's a good play. Like I'll have some, like I prefer Hill there.
Bobby, what's your take on this situation here with between the studs at the captain spot? Do you ignore them, or I think you got to play some Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill could go off for 60 points. I think Kelce can go off for 38 fantasy points. You got to have him at captain if he's doing that.
I'll say this. Unless you're willing to at least 2x, if not 3x the field on somebody in the MVP slot or captain slot, you shouldn't be playing him there. If you're not willing to go 30% Tyreek Hill in the captain slot, I wouldn't play him in the captain slot.
So everybody you're playing, so we're looking at the ownerships. Both of these guys around 13%. You're saying if you're not willing to go 25 to 30%, don't play him at all. Go 0 and just load up on someone else.
Yes.
I would agree.
And I would say 30%. Yeah. I would say don't. If you're willing to do that, sure. Yeah. I think you get some. That's the only way to get leverage. But if you're not willing to do that, you're with the field again. Even at 20%, it's not enough.
With the field is how you finish in that weird middle section that doesn't ever make a lot of money. Tyreek Hill, core play for Josh. I love Tyreek Hill too. He's already done it against this team. He's got 60-point upside. If I'm not playing Mahomes, I've opened up 20% of my lineups to other things. So you could put some of that on Tyreek Hill here, I think, without any too much worry. Now look at the other ownership projection. So Mahomes 20%, Brady 13.5%. Now, Josh, you like Brady a little bit more as a potential captain here.
Yeah,
13.64.
I like the price, and I like the way that I just love the way that he spreads it around. Right, like if we get him at a discount, I think that he has a similar upside to Mahomes. And they're going to be, if we're to believe Vegas, it's that they're going to be down and throwing the ball.
Bobby, what's your thoughts on Tom Brady here? Got a stack with 2. So if I do you like him as a captain play? Are you more in the I'm just going to fade these quarterbacks and hope a pass catcher gets me there boat?
I'm totally with Josh, and I think if you're going to fade Patty Mahomes at the captain spot, this could be how you get to that 35% ownership with Brady. But again, same rule applies. If you're not willing to, be up around 35%, then frankly, that you're not getting enough leverage where I would focus on him. And, I think it's all about leverage. So yeah.
Now, do I have to say, I feel like if you have Brady and the whole spreading it around thing, you've got to get 2 pass catchers in there with him.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Like not one. It's got to be two. So are we talking
Lenny included though? But yes.
Yeah, Lenny catches enough.
I'm down to count Lenny. I'm down to count Brate, Gronk, Scotty Miller. It could be any of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be two at least. One of the things I read, an interesting statistic, underdog onslaughts are used. So 4-1 or 5-1, 4-2 underdog onslaughts were only being used like 16% of the time in tournaments, but wound up in the top 1% of lineups something like 30% of the time.
Right.
So it's one of the most underused type of stacks. If you think about this slate, everybody's going to try to get again. I mean, it's very obvious what everybody wants to do. Tyreek, Kelsey, Hill. Right. Everybody else is fine, but if I can get those three in my lineup, great. That's what I'm trying to do. So when you're trying to do that, what happens is you basically edge out Godwin and Evans. You're not using these guys. The minute you even if you went two of these, so if you went Hill Mahomes or Hill Kelsey, you're done. There's no money left. You're not getting. You can get one of these guys in there. Maybe get a Mike Evans. That's it. There's no more room, no matter what you do, for another kind of player like that. Like you got to put a Pringle in. You got to get these cheapies. You got to get like something really horrible going, like a Pringle, a second really long shot, like a Ty Johnson or something ridiculous. And even then, you're barely getting there. So, well, I kind of like that. It's an even number. I always like the even number. Another thing that Bobby will tell you not to do.
All right, you ready for my Brady GPP Millie Maker winner lineup?
Yes.
4-2 with Brady at captain. Chiefs D running it back.
Chiefs defense, man, we didn't even get into that defense part, but you start putting Brady at the captain. Now you want to get Evans and Godwin in there. Let's put the biggies in there. You're putting Chiefs defense because defense versus captain wins on occasion. No one's going to play these defenses.
That's what I mean. Like, this is a 1% play.
I mean, then if it's me, I'm running it back with Sammy Watkins because if Brady's crushing.
Oh, yeah. Where's my boy Sammy? I keep forgetting about Sammy Watkins. Man, I hope I'm not forgetting about Sammy Watkins when I'm actually making lineups. That Q tag, by the way, is gold.
Oh, I love it.
I hope it stays there all week.
Here's another little tip for you guys who are watching.
So much grosser now, too. They made it really stand out. I love it so much.
Embrace the shiny Q tag and embrace the opponent rank first. Those are all things that are scaring your opponents off of players. Embrace it. Embrace it. All right. Where was I? Okay, so we're talking captains. Godwin, Evans. I mean, we covered a lot of this.
Yep.
And Leonard Fournette.
I think and I'm going to add Watkins there. I was just waiting on the injury reporting this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have some Watkins. Who are some other? So let's go back to it. These are the obvious ones, right? Evans, Godwin, Hill, Brady, Mahomes. They're all very obvious. Our less obvious ones, Sammy Watkins, and who else? Give me another couple. Do we have any other ones, Bobbywow?
For captain plays?
Yeah, like beyond the main group here, which is these are all the obvious plays: Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, Godwin, and Evans, and Fournette.
Yeah, Hardman's one for sure.
Hardman. Hardman.
I hate the salary, but yeah, he's probably right.
You can hate it all you want, but Hardman is used in a role that can break 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And he's also returning punts.
Yep. Hardman Chiefs D double stack.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Do either of you guys know what the Packers defense scored last week?
No.
No.
I have no idea.
Just curious, because that would make the Chiefs defense make or break for me.
I can look it up.
Anyway, yeah, I think Hardman, I think Watkins. You know, if you want to get super, super crazy, I think, you know, like we talked about, Pringle is you're silly for the milli, you know, shot. But again, I much prefer, you know, Watkins. I think he's one of the best captain plays on the slate.
There we go. I like it. I think we covered almost every player here for DraftKings purposes. So let's take a quick bounce over to FanDuel. Take a look at the MVP format and the Bobbywow sheet. right? So we've got our MVP format. And of course, what we know about FanDuel is quarterbacks are king on FanDuel, much, much more so than they are on DraftKings because of the difficulty of wide receivers to match their quarterbacks on FanDuel relative to DraftKings. Also helps that either one of these
exaggerated this week too.
Yeah, there are some wide receivers that could get there.
Yeah, there are.
We got to play our Hells and our Kelseys and Evans. So we got some that we could play. But what we don't have to worry as much about are running backs kind of getting there. It's just highly unlikely that a running back is going to outscore either of these quarterbacks, period. I just don't see 100%. Bobbywow?
Lenny's the only shot, and even then, it would be the upset of the century.
It would be very unlikely. So, all right. So let's get into this. Your favorites are Mahomes and Brady, obviously. I think Brady can definitely get there.
Yeah.
Like it's a straight competition between Mahomes and Brady. Brady's a little cheaper.
He's half the ownership too right now.
Lower owned. Half the ownership.
Crazy.
Rightfully half the ownership though. Rightfully. In a sense, it's rightful. I mean, you're talking about, but the reality is Mahomes is going up against the superior defense by far.
Right? Like, what if they run the ball in twice? Like, they get it down the field and end up running the ball in twice.
That can happen too, but that's much more likely
or a
to happen.
end around a Sammy.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, all those. That's right. Or no, the end around to Tyreek. I mean, that's a play they run all the time.
Yep.
Or Hardman behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Hardman comes in. There are a few design plays that they run to him. One of which is where he takes 5 steps backwards and they throw to him.
Auburn in the chat earlier mentioned something that I haven't put in my sheet yet, but they run that stupid little like pitch pass to Anthony Sherman at the goal line. Yeah, like that could break the slate.
Can you imagine?
Oh,
like it's so stupid.
Why is he mentioning? They did it once all season, Auburn.
I remember. I can see it in my head. Like I remember them running it
once the whole season.
Would that even put him in the nuts, though? I mean,
No.
in a high-scoring game, I don't even think that would do it.
I don't know that it gets him there.
No. Fucking.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no. Hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Listen.
Oh my god! Yes.
No.
Packers D had 6 points last week, Bobby.
Oh jeez, they didn't score. So
well, they did a really nice job of Zadarius Smith. Like those guys didn't do anything. They didn't get to Brady much. Like he threw 3 picks, but
it's problematic running out a defense against a team that's about to score 35 fantasy, bro. Like,
right.
Unless they're scoring touchdowns. This is the problem. You're playing the defense. Unless they're scoring touchdowns, they're not doing that good because, the final score 30, 28, 35, whatever number that it's going to be, it's like you're -3 for the score allowed. So how many sacks and turnovers do you need to even put up 10 points? You have to score a touchdown.
You need touchdown.
Yeah, you need a touchdown.
Yeah, maybe 2. So it's not. I don't love the defenses here at all. Where do you have defenses on your thing? Like, what do you have for expectation for these defenses?
I don't mind it. Like, I just think that if they score a touchdown, like 10 points might get you there.
Kickers and defenses, man. In a high-scoring game, it's tough to want to play them.
But what if it's not a high-scoring game?
True. Yeah, you never know.
You know what I mean? Like that's so it shit happens. Unfortunate.
Again, Sujit is very, very contrarian.
Loves
this
it.
Is on. It's great to be contrarian. We're heavy on Watkins on DraftKings because there's a benefit to playing cheap guys at captain. To go that way on FanDuel is very ballsy.
Like what?
Highly unlikely to work.
2 TDs, 100 yards, and 8 catches is how many points? 12.
Like even 20, if he scores 2 touchdowns, him outscoring
26,
both
like I don't.
and Brady, even with 2 touchdowns, is unlikely. That's the
I don't
problem.
think he gets there.
He'd have to score 2 touchdowns. Oh, he's going to be no owned, not even low owned. No owned. What do we have for Watkins? I mean, you didn't put Watkins 1% owned at MVP.
Yeah,
actually, I guess.
high.
Here's the crazy thing. That's the same ownership on DK, where I think he's 3 times better of a play over there than FanDuel.
Interesting.
Same
Right.
ownership projection.
It's changing live. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Things are changing. This is weird because things are changing live. It's freaking me out a little bit. Freaking me out. Up.
I can't see who's in there besides me and Bobby.
Did we change? Yeah.
Hold on.
Did this podcast change the ownerships?
No, it's the same, but it just went blank and then it came back. I don't know what's happening. All right. So we've got, the obvious names for FanDuel, Mahomes and Brady. Now, I think with either guy, we're stacking with at least one. I don't know if Bobby, you stacking with 2 or 1 here?
I
Brady
still like
has to be.
stacking with 2 for both of them, just because they're going to be 20% owned, 30% owned.
Sure.
I think that's number one. It's the game flow path for them to get there. But number 2, I think it helps you become more unique if you are having those guys as MVPs.
Who are the sneaky MVPs for you?
FanDuel makes it really, really tough to be sneaky. But that said, I think, Lenny is interesting. He's pricey. I think Edwards-Helaire and Ronald Jones are somewhat interesting, more interesting on FanDuel than DK. But even then, to me, I don't know that you can really get sneaky on FanDuel in terms of MVP with the pricing. It's really tough.
I mean, Sujit is playing Sammy Watkins.
Well, I love it, but it's just tough. The odds of that happening are so low.
We're looking at a lot of rain too.
Maybe
running backs.
let's not panic over some rain
I'm
on
just
Wednesday.
saying, 3 days of rain is what I just looked at.
DFS weather was like, slow down, whoa, everybody.
Yeah,
He's
Could be
in the
over
chat
rain.
because he heard me say weather.
but might not be any rain.
It might not. It might be completely fine.
By the way, a Florida rain is not like you're from Minnesota. You don't know. In Florida, it rains and then it's stops 5 seconds later and the sun is out. It is not like a Minnesota rain that's just disgusting for 5 days in a row. You're in the swamps. You're out in your backyard. You're like my ice lake is all got water on it and stuff. No.
Well, and let's not pretend that Tom Brady isn't practicing in that rain. I mean, they're hooked up, man. They're living down there. So
yeah, I know it'll be
nothing they haven't seen.
Yeah, no, they'll fine. I don't believe in the rain anyway. Tom Brady, he don't throw such a good rain ball. He needs a little air taken out of the ball. He's got a little smaller hand.
I don't believe in the rain. We need to get a shirt.
I don't believe in the rain. Weather is bullshit. Don't listen to it until it's 2 hours before the game. I don't even believe you.
Click on Sujit's thing. No, the answer is that the way to get unique, you still use your studs in the MVP. You just leave a ton of salary.
Yeah, and I mentioned that in the notes too.
Well, yeah,
you can be contrarian, but you don't have to be contrarian in the MVP slot to be contrarian on FanDuel.
Yep.
You win by finding the flex play, like your ridiculous Auburn's ridiculous Anthony Sherman bullshit, where he gets the one catch, he scores a touchdown, something like that. So you can you can find
that's
the turd.
That's the right thought process, though, Sujit. That's exactly the right process of thinking. Yep.
All right, so some underpriced plays here, because we already talked about a lot of what's going on. We all want to play Mike Evans and Fournette, and my goodness, Godwin and Reek. You can't afford that. Look, you start your lineup with one of these two guys. You really would love to have them both in there, but look what happens. 9,500 left. All right, we go to the obligatory Sammy Watkins. We go to the obligatory Mecole Hardman, and you can get one more stud in. Boom, that's your lineup. It's done. Now, how do you make it unique? What you guys just said. Instead of scrolling up on the last spot, 13.5 left,
down.
you go hey, I'm playing Ron John in this lineup. Like, what? What are you crazy?
Ron Jeremy, let's go.
You left 5K. You can't do that.
No, people don't know that. Like, you give people way too much credit. Suji.
No one knows. No one knows. The optimizer doesn't know. Understand who we're going up against. We're going up against optimized lineups coming off of a machine that creates the lineup. Or even worse, a person who's like, I'm telling you, I got 13.5 left. What do? You scroll right over here. You go up. Okay, Fournette first. I'm going to play him.
Done.
Last space. All right, well, I don't like Fournette. I'm going to get crazy. I'm going to leave 1,000. That's as much as a normal person will do.
And even if they do know, and Geeks talked about this, there is a mental block that doesn't allow 99.5% of the public to leave more than $1,500 on the table.
They will not do it. The same mental block applies to very cheap players. You're like, wow, value. Everybody's going to play. No, they won't. The minute a guy on FanDuel is under 5K, I don't care if he's the starting running back. They don't play him. Look at what happened in season. You got starting running backs under 5K multiple times that got no ownership on FanDuel because people are like, he is sub 5K because he sucks. I'm not playing that. So that's the thing. It really mentally, it's a thing. Also the Q tag, and it's a real thing. It's a real phenomenon for handcraft.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how you get unique. On the last spot, you don't go and fill it. You just kind of go, all right, I'm playing Antonio Brown. No one's playing Antonio Brown. He's got a Q tag. No one likes Antonio Brown. Play him. That's how you do it. That's how you get unique. All right, let's see if there's any. So sneaky cheap guys on FanDuel. I think you've identified them really well. Sammy Watkins, great. Cameron, great. Cameron, great. Hardman, of course. Hardman, same role every game. I don't care if Watkins is back. He's not. They have plays designed for Hardman.
Keep an eye on Scotty Miller too. He's currently sub 4% ownership on FanDuel at 6,500. That's Miller, unreal.
No one wants to play him. What if Antonio Brown is active? How about this scenario? Antonio Brown is active because he wants to be active for the Super Bowl, but he's still kind of messed up and he can't really play that much. And you get a lot of Scooty Miller.
I said it earlier and I meant it. I'm almost more interested in Scotty if AB's active because we know he's hurting.
It's a hamstring, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it's an ankle. I'm not sure.
Knee.
It's a hammy, yeah. Darrell Williams, 9K. Tyler Johnson, 5,500. The turds. This turd group. I mean, I think you almost. I would say that like Darrell Williams and Byron Pringle are way less turdly, Bobbywow, than Le'Veon Bell and Tyler Johnson are.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I say that in my notes. There, Le'Veon Bell is no thank you. He's the turdliest turd.
Yeah, he's the turdliest of all the turds.
Bobby just likes to use the turd.
I love the turd emoji. Can I do two turds? You know that Bobby, the admin, does not allow me to edit these.
I don't get them either. I can't get it. I don't have a turd on mine either.
Not even the turd. I can't edit your guys' notes at all.
You can't write in ours?
No. So there have been times when I've been doing these and you guys aren't on. I'm like, oh, let me just change that. And I can't. And I'm like, fucking damn it.
Well, there's your double turd for Lev.
Yeah, he's a double turd. By the way, guys, who are watching, for those who are watching, double turd is worse than a single turd. It's not better.
It is. It's true.
The more turds on a player, the worse the player is.
Personally, it sometimes is a better thing, but did I miss it?
John, now you show up an hour and 20 minutes.
We've talked about everybody. You can watch the replay.
Yeah, the longest showdown replay of the season, showdown breakdown of the season. Guys, that's it. I think we've covered this game backwards and forwards. So let's just, again, contests. Let's just take a look at what we've got, right? I already showed you some of the DraftKings ones. $10 entry, $1 million first place prize. Super excited. I will be maxing that. I'm going to max everything. This is the last fucking football of the year. I don't care. I want to max. I want to spend all my winnings from the season on this. Is this a bad wait? Is it bad bankroll management, Josh?
Yeah, just rip it. No,
I just want to like I have these winnings from the season. I just want to like let it ride on this one single game showdown.
All in.
Geek, if it's this or Dogecoin, it's this every day of the week.
I feel like Dogecoin is a worse investment than just doing that. I mean, like it's either this for me or I'm going to buy GameStop on the way down.
He's just short sell it
at the end of the short squeeze. You know what they didn't tell the Reddit guys? You know what? I read an article today. You know what they forgot to tell the Reddit guys who were creating the short squeeze? Was that other hedge funds had also bought millions worth of GameStop in the under $10 range.
Yeah.
And so while all of the retail guys were like, do not sell, you shall not pass, I will hold this to the death. The Wall Street guys were like, sell, selling, taking the profit. They're like, you guys hold, that's great. You know, sell.
Right there in the forums. Like, hold to the moon,
They're cheering to the moon. Sell. I sold my one share. I'm out. I was the weakest hand of them all. I was like, down $10. I'm done. I bought at 350, sold at 320. I'm out.
Yeah, by the time I realized what was going on, I was limited.
I just wanted to be a part of something. Here we go, guys. You can get into the fantasy.
All the satellites, though. That's what you should be entering on FanDuel. All the satellites that aren't going to fill.
Look at that. First of all, it's a 951,000. How many? We should have a how many people tie for first place contest for this, where we try to predict how many people tie for first in the 444. It could be 3,000. Like that could be the number. Like we talking about like a 3,000 person tie.
I think it'll be higher than that, don't you?
I mean, if it's chalky, yes, and there could, if Byron Pringle is in it, then probably not. Depends if it's super turd makes it. All right, so you've got this one, which is the premier contest, Fantasy Basketball World Championship qualifier. So if I'm entering both of these, can you see this on screen? Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
So if I'm entering the fantasy, they have a 355 Fantasy World Basketball Championship qualifier. If I'm entering that one, I'm not entering uniques. I'm using the same lineups I use in the 444 because you don't want to be entering uniques into that. You want, that win is another story. And you're probably going to tie. FanDuel's really hard to like bust out 150, 300, 450 uniques. If I was wanting to do more lineups, there's another Snap $3 entry. So I could combine the 444 and this 3. Of course, 1 million to first versus 15K to first is a really, really sad if you wind up hitting in the wrong one.
Oh, that would hurt for a long time.
Sting. But then you look at this one and it's like million to first, but it was a 3,000 way split. And you end up making more money in the other one where you only got like a 30-way split. You know what I mean? It could go that way too.
Yeah.
But a solo win in the 15K would be really upsetting. What could you possibly do to get a solo win in this? You have to play Anthony Sherman. You have to play Gage's guy.
On FanDuel, you got to play Sammy Watkins at MVP. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sujit is going to take this thing down.
He is. Or she is. They're going to take it down. I can't wait. I'm serious.
I think Sujit might take it down. DJ Promethazane and Cayenne, he knows what's up. Do you want to talk about what
Promethazane is?
Do you guys know what Promethazane is? That like some other spice that I've never heard of? Cayenne and Promethazane. I make a great chili. Mix those two. Mix them up.
Oh my gosh.
A little cayenne pepper.
Promethazane is an allergy med.
Oh. Little Promethazane in there.
It also prevents motion sickness and treats nausea. And you can use it as a sedative. I get on board with that.
So I guess maybe it isn't Geek's chili.
I use marijuana for to treat nausea. And as a sedative. I don't need that chemicals.
It's
natural.
I don't know what I'm going to do not laughing at all your stuff.
It's a natural remedy for it. I don't use it for methazane. What the fuck is that? Chemical?
He said it's in my chili.
Oh,
Put it in my chili, man.
Purple drank.
You gotta simmer it for 12 hours.
Yeah, Gage, we're not freaking 12 like you are, buddy. Like,
Oh.
yeah, it's purple drank.
Oh no.
This is the thing. All right, there we go. So this is something that millennials do that I don't know. Not millennials, like young people do.
They
that
buy GameStop and drink promethazine.
It's an actual drink.
Yeah, purple drank.
It's purple drank?
Yeah.
What's the cayenne part of it? Like, what do you like?
He mixes. He wants it a little spicier.
All right. I don't know. I keep it natural. I don't do any of these chemicals. All right, so World Championship.
Right,
I'll be
we're
off.
We're off track here. Let's be done.
Yeah, we've gone way off the right.
Is there a contest though? Are we gonna do a
how many contests?
Hold up. Look at this. A snap for $2. Here's what I would do. I'm giving real advice here, guys. If you want to make 300 lineups, I'd almost rather do it across this 3 and this $2 right here because they're about the same size. So in the case of these two, you can make 300 lineups for this, and you're not crying if you win one or the other. It's fine. You know, like they're about the same. So when I'm making a lot of uniques, I want to do it like that. On DraftKings, when talking about contest selection, again, I want to MME this. Guys, you could single entry it. We didn't talk about single entry because the crown jewel of DFS is winning this tournament. I want to win it. But for single entry, like take a look at first. Let's take a look at the contest themselves. Look at all these. What the fuck is? Oh, Madden streams. What is this Madden stream? All right,
ridiculous.
I don't know what that is. $10. Here's the showdown for 3. Here's another showdown for 3. That's a single entry. The flea flicker.
That's maybe your best. That's maybe the best contest.
I love the flea. You can do 150 in this and 150 in that. Uniques across both of them. Oh my god, I really am gonna spend all my money on this. I like to have a lot of lineups. The domination station is limited to only 300 unique lineups, by the way. But you can get around the limit by working the captains. So you could do it by saying, all right, I did 300, but I left out, I did 100, I left out 150 for these other captains. So there's a way to work it so that you can get more than that unique, but you have to really control for captains across, let's say 450 or 600 lineups. All right, guys, let's wrap it up there.
Let's do it.
Showdown breakdown. We did a big one here. We're gonna be unique. Don't make a lot. Don't even bother. If you're gonna make something super obvious, don't bother. Don't bother putting it in this 10. It's not gonna win.
Slam.
Go for first place. Bobby, what's your advice to the people?
Yeah, I would just say be unique. For me, that means I'll probably end up fading the top 4 or 5 captain ownership guys, so I can spread a bunch of leveraged exposure to some of the other guys like Sammy Watkins and Fournette. So don't be afraid to be unique. Like I said, be the guy that's cheering when no one else is cheering. That's how you win $1 million. And I think it's certainly within play here.
I want to write that on like my wall and just have that phrase be in the background. Be the guy that's cheering when no one else is cheering. And that's how you win at DFS.
That's right.
I love it. It's fucking brilliant. What do you have for me, Josh? What is
I don't know how to respond after that, but yeah, no, I would agree. I think that I am always a little bit more willing to play some of these higher price guys, but like Bobby said earlier, you need to be able to get leverage. What I like to do is I want to get I'm going to play some 20 max where I'm just going to play 20 straight Tyreek Hill lineups, or you know what I mean? And in that contest, I'm going to be massively leveraged on the field.
There we go. I love that advice as well. My advice is make a lot of lineups. As many lineups
at the end,
as you can. Like I said, go back to FanDuel. I showed you contests. You're like, hey, you fucking rich. You play expensive lineups. No, they got nickels. They don't show on my screen. I don't know. Hold on. There we go. We got nickel games. We got a 55-cent entry game. This is nice. A nickel game, seriously, $1 game, a $3. you can make a lot of lineups. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you're watching the game, play this nickel. 1,300,000 entries. 300,000. This is even more impressive to win. By the way, we have DFS Army guys always winning these because they enter them.
They do.
It's $3K to first. It's not bad for a 5-cent lineup. It's good.
I took out the PGA one this week.
Yeah, I saw that. And of course, jerks that we are, like, what would have happened if you put that in the real contest?
Yeah, no, right? Like, sorry.
But that's really impressive. By the way, that shows the tools work and everything. How about the 55 center? $75, $85. You max it out, 150 lineups. There's a lot of money for first place in this contest relative to the 55 cent that you put in. $5,500.
Yeah.
Even if you split that with.
It's a good return.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a lot of it doesn't take a lot of money to win a big tournament. It's all relative. So my advice for everybody is make a lot of lineups, and the cheaper, be in a contest where you're not afraid. Bobbywow and Josh both said the same thing. They said, don't be afraid to get unique. Well, what's scary to get unique? When you put your rent money, when you're betting your rent money on it. So how do you not be afraid to get unique? Put in an amount of money, like play the $7.50 and the 55 cent one. That way you're not afraid if you lose.
Absolutely.
I spend more money than that on wings for myself at the Super Bowl.
You spend more money like on a Tuesday in March on wings, like.
I spend a lot of money on wings.
But I say this in a lot of my other streams is that you got to be able to like walk out into your yard and light that money on fire, and like that's the sort of mentality that you have when you're building these lineups, because that's the only way you're really going to be comfortable enough to win. You got to be unafraid to lose. The smartest thing I heard, again, I've heard this. We talked to a lot of people who are really sharp, great players. Don't be afraid to lose is a big one, or you have to lose in order to win is a really, really important approach and thought process. And people really can't, most people, by the way, cannot grasp that. They can't fathom why that's a thing. Every night I make League of Legends lineups because I like that DFS sport. It's very easy with not much research to play it. And I'm like, who's the big underdog? Let me pair him up with the other big underdog. Like, why would you do that? What are you, stupid? No, I mean, if they both win, no one's going to do this. Yep. So that's like the first move that I look to do. Yeah, I know that money is probably being burnt, but if I do that every single day for 3 months, you're going to hit. Yeah, the one time it's going to hit, and I'm going to get a solo takedown. It's going to pay for all the other times. How about that guy who kept playing the backup quarterback? He finally hit with Mariota. Like, anytime there's a backup quarterback that runs, I play him at the MVP. Like, how long have you been doing that for? 3 years? And finally, Mariota, comes in for Derek Carr and does his thing. Like, what? That happened? So,
all it takes is one.
It only takes one time. Only takes one time. Our boy last night, 40K, one lineup, late slate. Crazy. A tilt slate. You know how the late slates always tilt from losing on the early. Yeah, it's like anytime I play the late slate, I'm just angrily making tilt lineups. It's like angry. I'm like, fuck. This is my face every time I make a late slate lineup. Fucking shit. Oh, God damn it. Losing money. I've always got like an angry face on, and then all of a sudden you win. You're like, yeah, I knew that shit was coming. Knew it. I knew what I was doing. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you again. Everybody, thank you for being with us.
Another great season.
This whole season.
Yeah.
How awesome was it? How awesome was it to have Josh and Bobby with us for all these breakdowns?
I can't believe we got through an NFL season with like the way we did.
I can't believe how many people won showdowns this year.
Actually, this year was probably better for Showdown because we got way more Showdown slates because they had to move some of these games around.
So many showdowns and so many wins.
Yeah,
the amount of wins our guys took down. The domination station really, really like proved itself once again, especially for. I think our best format is the Showdown. By the way, I think it's that, and like there's a few things that we do like exceptionally well and better than the other ones. NASCAR, there's a few things that like golf is just golf. It's very easy to optimize for.
Yeah,
but
the new additions with the making that you put so many guys in the lineup, like that's huge for golf. Now I'm going to put a video about that this week.
The rules, like the new player combination rules, really awesome for that. So we're, you're always adjusting when you're playing it. So thank everybody for trusting us. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me so many times this year. Not many people want to hang out with me more than once. Usually it's one and done. My
It's been so much
experience in
fun,
life.
man. I'm already looking forward to next season. And you know what? Let's get a bunch of wins on Sunday, and let's just start the ball rolling early on next year with the bankroll. Let's get some big wins here at the Super Bowl.
We're going out strong. Listen, I need to pad up my bankroll. NASCAR season starts in a week.
Yeah.
America's race.
Here we go.
It's my favorite race of the year. It's the first one. So, we're got to keep at it. I hope I don't blow my whole bankroll here because I'm allocating everything. Going after this win, I might have to make a deposit. But
it's almost tax season.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get the tax return. I'm waiting for that stimulus check right into the DK account.
I don't know why Joe doesn't just write checks to DK.
That's what they should do. Right.
Trump with mine.
I mean, half of America lost their stimulus check already on GameStop.
Jeez.
There goes that 600. Yeah. And the Cayenne LOL. That is a League of Legends team. I'm on it now. There's a Cayenne. I think there's a team or a player name.
Oh, okay.
I'm on it. All right, guys. That'll do it for this one. Thank you all for being with us. Where my turds at? Great season. We will be back next year identifying more turds. But let's make it an awesome Super Bowl to remember.